When discussing craftsmanship, few can rival the enduring skill embodied by the Amish, particularly in the realm of furniture creation. From choosing the ideal hardwood to employing traditional joinery methods that have weathered the passage of time, the Amish have truly mastered the craft of making furniture. I'll guide you through the captivating step-by-step process of how the Amish construct stunning, durable furniture entirely by hand. Keep reading to uncover the secrets behind the unmatched creativity of the Amish when it comes to building robust, long-lasting pieces. Regarding the construction of sturdy, enduring furniture, the Amish certainly understand the importance of selecting the appropriate materials. Let's be honest. If your furniture is crafted from inexpensive, flimsy wood, it won't make it through its first Thanksgiving feast, much less be handed down to your grandchildren. The Amish, however, don't believe in taking shortcuts. They select their wood as if it were the crucial component in Grandma's classified apple pie recipe. Only the finest suffices. They favor hardwoods such as oak, cherry, maple, and occasionally walnut. Why these? Because these woods are incredibly tough, even without nails, durable, and age gracefully. It's akin to picking the LeBron James of the timber world. They are strong, reliable, and assured to perform exceptionally for decades. Furthermore, these woods are sourced locally, typically from nearby forests. Now, their method for selecting this wood isn't some haphazard, grab the first log you spot affair. The Amish meticulously inspect every piece of lumber. They seek wood that has been correctly aged and dried because nobody desires furniture that shrinks, warps, or develops a fissure the size of the Grand Canyon over the years. It reminds me a bit of how I examine avocados at the grocery store. No bruises, no imperfections, just pure quality. The difference is, I'll consume that avocado within a couple of days, whereas Amish furniture is constructed to endure for generations. You know what else is impressive? They comprehend that each wood type possesses its own unique character. Oak, for instance, is like that resilient, no-nonsense grandfather who has weathered everything. It's dense and resists wear exceptionally well. Maple, conversely, is the sleek, polished relative who always appears impeccable. It features a fine grain and looks fantastic with lighter stains. Cherry wood, though, is the sophisticated ant who improves with age, literally. Cherry darkens over time, acquiring a deep, rich hue as the years pass. Talk about maturing like fine wine. Let's not overlook walnut. This wood resembles the suave uncle who commands attention in any room, sleek, dark, and oh so refined. The Amish might utilize it for distinctive pieces requiring a touch of extra elegance. So, how can one acquire this top-quality wood? Some Amish communities operate their own sawmills, allowing them to carefully process the timber themselves. If you don't happen to have a sawmill nearby, you can follow the practice of other Amish individuals and purchase wood from trusted local mills. The essential point is, they aren't driving to the nearest home improvement superstore for a bargain bulk purchase. Their focus is entirely on quality, not convenience. And I understand that. You wouldn't prepare a sandwich using stale bread, would you? The same principle applies to furniture. This is where the genuine artistry begins. By utilizing these locally sourced hardwoods, the Amish construct pieces naturally resistant to damage. They are heavy-duty, like the tanks of the furniture world. Did you know, for instance, that oak is so robust it's frequently employed in shipbuilding? So, if you ever find yourself needing to construct a boat from your dining room table, I'm not sure why you would, but life throws curveballs, you might just be fortunate. In essence, the Amish choose their materials with the same diligence and meticulousness that permeates the rest of their furniture-making process. They don't take chances when striving for heirloom quality craftsmanship. Starting with the right wood constitutes half the challenge. The other half, well, we'll delve into that in the subsequent steps. But suffice it to say, once you secure the appropriate quality wood, you're in capable hands from that point forward. Once the Amish acquire the finest hardwoods, the subsequent phase involves preparing it for transformation. Before any cutting, sanding, or assembly commences, the wood must be prepped. Consider it akin to preparing your ingredients before cooking a large family dinner. You wouldn't just toss everything into the pot without chopping it first, right? The same logic applies here. The Amish generally employ hand tools or a limited amount of machinery to ready the wood. This is where things become fascinating, because while most of us might power up an electric saw or visit the lumber store for pre-cut boards, the Amish prioritize doing things the traditional way. They invest the time to measure, cut, and smooth each piece of wood by hand or with minimal mechanical assistance. The outcome is precision, no shortcuts, no errors. Now, you're likely thinking, wait, they do this manually? Yes, indeed they do. And no, they don't end up with splintered, uneven boards. The Amish are virtuosos with hand tools like planes, saws, and scrapers, ensuring everything is perfect. It's somewhat like my inability to cook without a detailed recipe, yet somehow these artisans manage to work effectively without needing a set of blueprints for every task. Their extensive years of experience enable them to judge measurements by eye and guarantee everything fits together seamlessly. But how does this accelerate the process? Here's the insight. By meticulously prepping each piece beforehand, they obviate the need for continuous adjustments during the assembly stage. It's comparable to chopping all your vegetables and measuring your spices before starting to cook. It makes the actual cooking, or in this instance building, proceed much more rapidly. The only product we'll ever endorse on our channel is a book by Claude Davis, an experienced prepper, covering 126 superfoods and preservation techniques from critical periods like the Great Depression and wartime, methods nearly impossible to find elsewhere. We chose to promote his book because we represent the final generation capable of passing these techniques and knowledge of superfoods to our children or grandchildren. It would be tragic to let this information about highly nutritious foods and preservation methods for surviving crises vanish. You can also discover a book on herbal remedies by Nicole Alon in their store. If you're viewing this on TV, you can search for our channel, Frugal Solutions, on your phone or tablet and locate the books by clicking the link in our channel description or any other video description. One aspect that distinguishes Amish craftsmen is their deep understanding of wood's natural grain growth and texture. They recognize that not all wood pieces are identical. Some might be coarse and require additional smoothing, while others could possess a natural curvature that might evolve into an attractive feature of the final product. This focus on detail speeds up the process later, as they avoid having to redo anything once assembly begins. It's not solely about hacking away at the wood, however. The Amish also ensure the wood is properly dried before they commence. If the wood contains too much moisture, it could warp, crack, or shrink over time. And believe me, no one desires a wobbly table after just a year or two, especially when serving mashed potatoes to company. They dry the wood naturally or in a kiln, confirming all moisture is eliminated before they start shaping it. This is similar to allowing dough to rise before baking, essential to prevent a flat, damp disappointment. Just like the Amish, you can provide the wood with some tender, loving care through drying. Two methods are available: natural drying and kiln drying. In natural drying, the wood is stacked and permitted to air dry in a shed or open area for months. Yes, months. It resembles aging a quality steak before cooking. The air gradually extracts the moisture, leaving the wood perfectly conditioned for furniture making. Kiln drying, conversely, is a quicker method where the wood is situated in a kiln, a large oven-like chamber controlling temperature and humidity. Kilns can be purchased from woodworking supply stores. Think of it as a very sophisticated hairdryer for wood. It dries the timber rapidly and effectively, preventing any residual excess moisture. If wood isn't adequately dried, it will begin to expand and contract after being used, making your furniture appear as though it has endured rough treatment. So, after the wood is dried and smoothed, they cut it to the precise dimensions needed for the piece they are constructing. This is where it becomes quite remarkable. The Amish utilize minimal machinery. They depend on their knowledge and hand tools to execute precise cuts, which we will discuss next. Why undertake all this preparatory work? Well, when the time arrives to assemble the furniture, there's significantly less guesswork. The components already fit, the surfaces are smooth, and the wood is the correct size and shape. It's like assembling a jigsaw puzzle where all the pieces have been perfectly cut beforehand. You merely need to connect them. In summary, the Amish concentrate on getting everything correct from the outset. They don't hurry, but they don't squander time either. It's all about ensuring that when they're prepared to join the pieces, everything aligns perfectly. And while they might lack sophisticated gadgets, their years of practice and skill make the process flow more smoothly than any high-tech machine ever could. Plus, it simply demonstrates that sometimes adhering to the old-fashioned way is actually the quickest path to achieving excellence. Next, the Amish strongly adhere to the principle that less is more, and they incorporate this philosophy into their furniture making through efficient design and pre-cutting. Regarding design, they don't opt for excessively elaborate details or ornamentation. Instead, they concentrate on timeless, functional designs that are straightforward to construct, yet still look exceptional. By adhering to simple shapes, they eliminate the need for intricate cuts and numerous joints. This not only enhances the furniture's strength, but also saves a considerable amount of time. Let's be realistic. A 10-step overly complex design doesn't facilitate quicker job completion for anyone. The Amish are masters of the keep it simple strategy. They've recognized that when designs are uncomplicated, for example, when crafting the classic shaker-style chair, less measuring is required, fewer cuts are needed, and there's less opportunity for errors. And nobody enjoys making mistakes when working with expensive solid hardwood. Additionally, the fewer cuts you perform, the faster you complete the task. A definite win-win. A straightforward design also implies that fewer tools are necessary, which accelerates the entire procedure. An Amish craftsman can execute a precise cut using a few basic tools, instead of configuring a complex machine that might take longer to calibrate than the actual cutting itself. Pre-cutting is where the Amish truly excel. Before assembly even commences, one should adhere to the Amish methodology and ensure the wood pieces are pre-cut to size before starting work on the furniture itself. According to the Amish, this step guarantees that every component of the project is prepared, preventing wasted time stopping to make cuts during assembly. Imagine constructing a bookshelf and having to pause each time you required a new shelf cut. It would be like attempting to bake a cake and incorporating the ingredients one by one as the recipe dictates. Slow and inefficient. Instead, by pre-cutting everything beforehand, the Amish can proceed swiftly when it's time to assemble. Pre-cutting entails several crucial steps to guarantee precision in furniture making. If we're following the Amish approach, which naturally we are, begin by meticulously measuring and marking the wood using traditional blueprints, easily found via Google search, or memorized patterns. This prevents subsequent errors. Secondly, employ hand tools like saws or minimal electric machines for the cuts. Concentrate on clean, accurate cuts to minimize waste and ensure pieces fit perfectly. Pre-cutting diminishes the need for further adjustments, enabling the remainder of the process, such as joining or assembly, to proceed more smoothly and rapidly. This step aids in streamlining the entire woodworking operation. This efficient design also translates to reduced material waste. Because each piece is carefully planned and pre-cut, there's no guesswork and fewer leftover scraps. The Amish utilize every fragment of wood as effectively as possible, cutting out precisely what they need and avoiding excess. And we're not merely discussing small fragments. They even ensure that wood grains and patterns align, creating furniture that is not only functional, but also aesthetically beautiful. So, while it might appear that simplicity equates to less effort, the reality is the opposite. The Amish invest the hard work of planning up front, so that when it's time to build, everything proceeds as smoothly and quickly as feasible. And here's the crucial part. It functions effectively. You don't require elaborate equipment or the latest technology to construct high-quality furniture. Sometimes all that's needed is a simple, well-conceived design, careful pre-cutting, and an understanding that the more you prepare in advance, the faster and superior your final product will be. It's analogous to planning a road trip. If you know precisely where you're headed and have all your stops mapped out, you'll arrive faster and without any unnecessary detours. After the wood is cut into the necessary sizes and shapes, the subsequent step in the Amish furniture making sequence is sanding and smoothing the surfaces. This is where the rough edges of the newly cut wood are transformed into a polished, smooth finish. The sanding process is vital for both aesthetic appeal and functionality. It not only ensures the piece looks visually pleasing, but also eliminates any sharp or uneven areas that could be uncomfortable or potentially hazardous when handling the completed product. Amish craftsmen typically utilize hand tools like sandpaper or sanding blocks for this phase. Some might also employ simple handheld tools such as a sanding plane to work the surface. The objective is to use minimal equipment while still attaining a finely finished product. Sanding by hand also grants the craftsman complete control over the surface, guaranteeing that every curve, edge, and corner is smoothed with precision. This method demands time and patience, but it contributes to the distinct handcrafted character of each piece. A fundamental aspect of the sanding process involves going over the entire surface multiple times using varying levels of grit. The initial sanding removes the roughness of the cut wood, while subsequent sanding with finer grit paper smooths the wood and prepares it for the finishing stage. Amish craftsmen exercise caution to avoid excessive sanding in one spot, which could result in uneven surfaces or rounded edges not intended in the original design. Once the sanding is finished, the craftsman will inspect the wood closely to confirm there are no residual rough spots, scratches, or imperfections. This meticulous attention ensures that when the piece is finished, it will be not only sturdy, but also aesthetically attractive. It's akin to preparing a canvas before painting. The wood must be smooth and flawless for the final finish to truly shine. This part of the process also permits the Amish craftsman to check for any subtle flaws in the wood that might not have been apparent earlier. Wood can occasionally possess natural imperfections, such as knots or small cracks, which may become more noticeable once the surface is smoothed. If required, the craftsman might fill these imperfections with wood filler or putty before proceeding. In short, sanding and smoothing the wood represent a time-consuming yet essential step in creating Amish furniture. It necessitates careful attention to detail and patience, qualities for which Amish craftsmen are renowned. The goal is to ensure the surface is smooth, even, and ready for the subsequent stages in the process, whether that involves joinery, finishing, or carving. This step not only enhances the wood's beauty, but also contributes to the overall longevity and durability of the piece, ensuring that the finished furniture will endure for generations. The application of traditional joinery techniques is one of the secrets the Amish employ when crafting their own furniture. You're likely wondering, what on earth are joinery techniques? Well, the standard definition indicates that traditional joinery techniques involve forging strong, seamless connections between wood pieces without resorting to screws or nails. Simply stated, the Amish don't require a multitude of screws, nails, or fancy fasteners to create long-lasting, sturdy furniture. Instead, they rely on strong, robust joints. Consider this. While we're often occupied tracking down the correct screw size at the hardware store, the Amish are skillfully fitting wood together like puzzle virtuosos. It's comparable to assembling IKEA furniture without needing an instruction manual or ending up with a pile of surplus parts. And let's be truthful, there's invariably a leftover screw or two, isn't there? Some prevalent joinery techniques include the dovetail joint, finger joint, and mortise and tenon joints. However, the perennial favorite technique among the Amish is the dovetail joint. You've likely observed it if you've ever closely examined a handmade drawer. It involves cutting two pieces of wood so that interlocking shapes fit snugly together, forming a powerful bond without the need for nails or screws. It's like wood holding hands, a firm grip, no loosening allowed. This technique is centuries old and remains popular because it functions so effectively. And honestly, who desires wobbly furniture? Certainly not the Amish. Then there's the mortise and tenon joint, another luminary in the joinery sphere. It's akin to the Lego of woodworking. You have one piece of wood with a protruding section, the tenon, and another with a corresponding hole, the mortise. And presto, they fit together as if predestined. No screws are needed, just precision. The result is a joint robust enough to support the weight of heavy furniture without even a hint of a squeak. It's a technique passed down through generations because, well, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, correct? Now, what's truly remarkable is the speed at which the Amish can work using these techniques. One might assume that employing hand tools would decelerate the process, but the opposite is true. With years of practice, they've mastered these joinery methods so proficiently that they don't need to waste time fumbling with fasteners. Once the pieces are pre-cut and prepared, assembling them resembles snapping blocks together. In fact, it's often faster than the power tool-intensive approach many of us depend on today. Sure, power tools are beneficial for certain tasks, but they entail setup time, noise, and the occasional mishap that leaves a gouge where none was intended. The Amish circumvent all that inconvenience with their proven methods. However, even though we may not possess the mastery of joinery techniques like the Amish, it wouldn't hurt to understand how to attempt them. Like the Amish, traditional joinery techniques demand hands-on practice and training. Utilizing basic tools such as chisels, saws, and mallets, you can commence by studying the different types of joints. For dovetail joints, envision two puzzle pieces. You cut one piece into a shape resembling a dove's tail, wide at the end, and the other piece receives matching cuts to fit perfectly. When joined, they remain secure without nails. The tapered shape locks the pieces together. Regarding the mortise and tenon joinery technique, think of inserting a peg into a hole. You carve a hole, mortise, in one wood piece, and shape a peg, tenon on the other, then fit them together. Finger joints are like interlacing your fingers. You cut matching square fingers into the ends of two boards, and when fitted together, they form a strong bond. For more detailed knowledge, woodworking courses and books are available to help achieve mastery of joinery techniques similar to the Amish community. What's even more astounding is that this technique, appearing so simple and old-fashioned, is actually stronger than many modern methods. You could probably toss an old Amish-built chair across the room, not that you'd want to, considering the craftsmanship, and it would likely remain intact, joints secure. Compare that to standard mass-produced furniture, where a single loose screw can transform a chair into a wobbly hazard. Another great aspect of these joints is that they permit the wood to expand and contract naturally with variations in temperature and humidity. So, if you reside in an area with cold winters and hot summers, Amish furniture won't crack under the stress of seasonal changes. The joinery flexes with the wood, much like a reliable pair of jeans after Thanksgiving dinner. And let's not disregard the aesthetic dimension. There's a genuine beauty inherent in these traditional techniques. Dovetails in particular exude an "I was made by hand" aura that simply feels authentic. It's the kind of craftsmanship that doesn't demand attention but still impresses when observed up close. And when you inform your guests, "Oh yes, this was constructed without any nails," it's guaranteed to command some respect. So, while the rest of the world has progressed to industrial fasteners and shortcuts, the Amish adhere to what is proven effective. They possess the patience, the skill, and the expertise to create furniture that isn't merely built to last, but built to endure without all the unnecessary embellishments. And frankly, that's something we could all benefit from learning. Less complexity, more quality. Plus, it's considerably quieter than the whine of a power drill. Once the Amish have determined the appropriate joinery techniques for their furniture, they establish the foundation next through pre-assembly planning. The Amish adopt a careful, detailed approach to this stage, ensuring every piece of the puzzle is prepared to fit together with minimal effort during assembly, as everything they do targets smoothness and efficiency. Before a single joint is secured, every measurement is double-checked, and every component is inspected to guarantee it's perfectly cut and prepped. This minimizes disruptions and last-minute adjustments, thereby accelerating the process. That essentially summarizes pre-assembly planning. Consider it analogous to packing for a journey. If you plan meticulously, you won't omit anything. Similarly, the Amish depend on precise planning to prevent unforeseen issues. They utilize blueprints that are often proven and tested, or sometimes these plans are memorized and transmitted through generations. When you already understand how components will fit together, There's no requirement to pause and reconsider during the construction phase. This step revolves around preparation and foresight. For instance, if constructing a wooden table, each leg, the top, and supports will already be shaped and smoothed during the planning stage. Consequently, when it's time to assemble, you're simply positioning everything correctly without difficulty. This careful planning isn't solely for efficiency, it's also how they assure quality. By reducing guesswork, they minimize errors. When it comes to planning your furniture before assembly, you must comprehend the design. You can achieve this by reviewing the blueprints or design plans for what you're creating, similar to the Amish practice, ensuring you understand the final appearance and function of the piece. Next, you must carefully measure and mark all wood pieces for precise cutting. This was essentially covered in wood preparation, but reconfirming your dimensions is beneficial. Cut the wood components in advance based on the design plan, ensuring everything fits together seamlessly. Lastly, the Amish most certainly perform a dry fit, assembling the pieces without glue or nails to verify proper alignment and fit, adjusting as needed before the final assembly. In essence, pre-assembly planning involves staying one step ahead, reducing time spent correcting mistakes, and ensuring the project proceeds as smoothly as possible. It represents purposeful efficiency, transforming what could be a chaotic building process into a well-coordinated assembly. When contemplating woodworking, it's easy to visualize whirring saws, buzzing drills, and equipment powered by electricity. However, for the Amish, it's almost as if they inhabit a different sphere, one where power tools are as rare as a unicorn grazing in the backyard. We've established that the Amish favor simplicity in life. So what do they utilize instead? Well, they adhere to hand tools, which, despite their simplicity, are far from slow or obsolete. Some tools employed by the Amish include saws, chisels, planes, mallets, etc. A handsaw is used for cutting wood. If you're new to using one for furniture making, focus on steady, straight cuts, keeping the saw aligned with a guide. The chisel is ideal for shaping or carving. According to Amish practice, it's important to tap gently with a mallet to drive the chisel through the wood while ensuring hand safety. A plane is used for smoothing surfaces. Beginners should practice on softwood until they develop a feel for it. You're probably wondering, so how does this assist me in building my furniture? It would just slow me down. Not if you achieve mastery. The Amish invest time in mastering the use of hand tools like saws, chisels, planes, and mallets. It might sound like something your grandfather would use, but these tools are incredibly effective when wielded skillfully. In fact, some argue that hand tools permit greater precision than power tools ever could. Regardless of how advanced a modern saw is, it can't quite replicate the control afforded by a well-sharpened hand plane, the type your grandmother might have used to trim her wooden salad bowls. Now, here's where the Amish gain an advantage in speed without all the noise and dust. Using hand tools means they don't need to spend time setting up and adjusting power equipment. Power saws and drills require time for adjustment, calibration, and setting the optimal speed, whereas the Amish commence work immediately. A quick stroke of the handsaw here, a steady strike of the mallet there, and presto, their pieces are ready. It's all about rhythm. One could even argue that using power tools is like attempting to race a Ferrari down a congested street. Plenty of power, but progress is hindered by traffic. Hand tools are like a well-maintained bicycle, simple, swift, and dependable. To take it further, the Amish completely avoid the electric hum. Why? Because they can perform the job just as effectively with less hassle. Consider this: power tools often require maintenance, spare parts, and, naturally, electricity. But hand tools? They merely need a steady hand and perhaps a bit of oil occasionally. Plus, they don't deplete their power source midway through a project, leaving you frustrated with battery life as your chisel gets stuck halfway through a piece of walnut. And don't let the simplicity mislead you. Amish-made furniture can endure for generations. This isn't because they employ the latest and greatest tools, but because their skill and patience are evident in every piece they create. And let's face it, if you're using a hand tool, you better be certain of your actions. Nobody desires a wobbly chair incapable of holding even a cup of tea. So, while everyone else is bustling about with their sophisticated power tools and dusting off their corded drills, the Amish are quietly outperforming them. No fancy gadgets, just solid craftsmanship and a steady hand. Sure, it might take slightly longer, but as the saying goes, the slower you proceed, the faster you arrive. And trust me, the Amish have perfected that art. Once the Amish have prepared all the wood components and crafted their joints using traditional methods like dovetail joints, mortise and tenon, or tongue and groove, the true artistry commences, assembling the furniture. While this might appear as the concluding step in a lengthy, intricate process, the assembly is executed with a precise and considered approach that guarantees strength, stability, and longevity, all without reliance on modern power tools. So, how precisely do they connect all the parts? Let's examine more closely. First, the Amish craftsman begins by organizing all the components, ensuring every piece is present and prepared. They know exactly which pieces fit together due to the thorough pre-planning conducted earlier. This is where having a solid grasp of the design and detailed measurements proves crucial. It's almost like assembling a jigsaw puzzle, only instead of a picture, the Amish craftsman envisions a carefully planned piece of furniture. Once everything is arranged, the next step involves dry fitting the joints. Here, the Amish take each furniture piece and fit them together without glue or fasteners to verify that everything aligns perfectly. It resembles a dress rehearsal before the final show. During this dry fit, any minor adjustments can be made to ensure the pieces connect snugly and the joints are tight. If a joint is slightly misaligned, they might use a hand tool like a plane or chisel to adjust it, ensuring the fit is impeccable. The dry fitting process is critical to the success of the final assembly. If it isn't perfect at this stage, it won't be perfect later. Once the dry fit is confirmed to be solid, the subsequent step is applying the glue. The Amish utilize high-quality wood glue to bond the joints together. They apply it generously to the areas where the pieces meet, ensuring each joint receives a strong bond that will endure over time. However, this is where procedures differ from modern techniques. The Amish don't rush the process. They carefully align each piece, applying just enough pressure to ensure the glue sets without excessive squeeze-out. Precision is paramount. After applying glue, wooden pegs are often used to prevent shifting during the assembly process. Throughout assembly, the Amish maintain a high level of craftsmanship, employing methods passed down through generations. Their careful attention to detail, patience, and dedication to quality result in furniture that can last for decades or even longer. It's not merely about assembling pieces of wood. It's about creating a timeless piece of craftsmanship that narrates a story of dedication and skill. Once the glue and wooden pegs are in position, the subsequent step involves clamping the furniture. Clamps are utilized to hold the assembled pieces together while the glue dries, ensuring the joints remain fixed and the structure is solid. This process is vital for achieving the strength and durability characteristic of Amish furniture. The clamp essentially serves as an assistant, maintaining alignment as the glue bonds the parts together. Think of it like baking a cake. Once the batter is mixed and in the pan, it still needs to be placed in the oven. Similarly, clamping holds the components together while the glue hardens, locking everything into place. It's a patient, precise process demanding the right tools and a good understanding of the necessary pressure to keep pieces in place without distorting or damaging the wood. The Amish are known for using simple, high-quality clamps, typically made of metal or wood, to apply uniform pressure across the joints. It's crucial to apply sufficient pressure for the glue to fully adhere, but not so much that the wood becomes compressed or deformed. The objective is to ensure a tight bond without risking cracks or dents on the surface. The clamps are positioned strategically, usually on the sides and ends of the furniture, to ensure all parts remain snug and aligned. In some instances, the Amish may use a combination of clamps, one set applying direct pressure to the joints and another stabilizing the piece overall. Depending on the furniture's size and complexity, it might take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours for the glue to dry completely. During this period, the craftsman closely monitors the piece, ensuring clamps are applied evenly and no part shifts out of position. Once the glue has dried and the clamps are removed, the furniture is structurally sound. The joints are now firmly bonded, and the piece is ready for the subsequent steps, whether that involves additional sanding, detailing, or finishing. At this point, the furniture is no longer just an assortment of parts. It's beginning to take shape as a solid, functional piece, prepared to withstand the test of time. This step is not rushed. In fact, it's one of the most crucial parts of the entire process. Proper clamping guarantees the piece not only looks good, but will also be durable for generations. The Amish understand that building something to last requires patience and precision, qualities they embody. So while the clamps are occupied, the craftsman might take a well-earned pause, perhaps enjoying a cup of coffee, while his or her work continues to coalesce, piece by piece. Once the main structure of the furniture is assembled and all joints are secure, it's time for the finishing touches, hand carving and detailing. Whether adding intricate designs to table legs or carving a decorative flourish on a chair back, this phase focuses on enhancing the piece's beauty and functionality, adhering to principles from the Amish furniture-making tradition. Hand carving is performed with specialized tools like chisels, gouges, and knives, demanding a steady hand and an eye for detail. It's not about hurrying. Instead, it prioritizes precision. Amish craftsmen might carve a simple pattern along edges, create floral motifs, or add decorative elements that accentuate the wood's natural beauty. In some cases, carvings may serve functional purposes as well as decorative ones, such as providing a smooth grip for handles or adding texture to the furniture surface. If the furniture piece includes additional design elements like grooves for inlays or custom moldings, these are also incorporated during this stage. The work requires patience and meticulous attention. Sometimes the carving is so delicate, it seems the craftsman is sculpting rather than merely carving. And let's be honest, witnessing this process can be quite satisfying. If you've ever observed someone transform a block of wood into a beautiful pattern, you understand precisely what I mean. There's something almost therapeutic about watching the wood slowly change, revealing an intricate design previously hidden. Once the carving and detailing are finished, the piece is often lightly sanded again to smooth any rough spots created during carving, preparing it for staining and finishing. This ensures details blend seamlessly into the overall structure, maintaining integration. So while this step isn't rushed, it's undeniably crucial. Without hand carving and detailing, many Amish pieces would remain simple and functional, but it's these finer touches that elevate them to works of art. You could say the furniture transitions from good to wow during this step, demonstrating that the Amish are true masters of their craft. They recognize that small details often yield the greatest impact, and they take pride in executing them perfectly. When considering finishing a piece of furniture, one might envision someone applying a coat of paint or using a sophisticated spray gun to achieve a shiny new appearance. However, for the Amish, staining and finishing represent more of an art form than a race. They approach it like a delicate performance where the wood takes center stage, and the finish serves merely to highlight its natural beauty, not conceal it. Consequently, instead of employing harsh chemicals or artificial paints, they opt for natural stains and oils. It's straightforward, yet it's one of the elements that truly distinguishes Amish furniture. Now, if you've ever attempted staining wood yourself, you know it involves more than just applying some liquid and hoping for the best. Patience is essential, and that's precisely what the Amish practice. They don't rush this step. Instead, they use a soft brush or cloth to apply the stain slowly, working it into the wood to reveal the rich grain and natural colors. I've tried rushing staining before. What a catastrophe. The color was uneven, and it ultimately looked like a toddler's attempt. Lesson learned. But the Amish? They are professionals. They ensure every inch is covered, and the finish appears smooth and flawless. Here's the fascinating part. They utilize natural oils and stains like linseed or tung oil because these finishes penetrate the wood and enhance its grain, rather than merely sitting atop the surface. These oils not only improve the wood's appearance, but also protect it from the elements, granting the furniture longevity without requiring constant touch-ups. It's almost like providing the wood with a protective layer. Plus, these natural oils lack the potent headache-inducing fumes associated with synthetic finishes. For someone like me, who has experienced more than one painting mishap involving strong odors, that's a significant advantage. Another reason the Amish favor these natural finishes is their ability to highlight the wood's inherent imperfections. Every knot, every swirl in the grain receives its moment to shine. It resembles how some people appreciate a compelling scar story. It adds character, doesn't it? The Amish aren't pursuing perfection, they seek authenticity. That defines their furniture, genuine, honest craftsmanship showcasing the material in its true form. They understand that imperfections contribute to the piece's uniqueness and imbue it with soul. When the Amish finish a piece, they also tend to apply multiple coats, allowing each layer to fully absorb before proceeding to the next. This method not only enhances the wood's appearance, but also ensures the finish endures longer. You won't observe them applying one thin layer and considering the job done. Oh no, they invest their time. I mean, I'm the type who impatiently awaits my morning coffee, so I respect anyone capable of patiently completing each step with care. And here's an interesting detail. Amish craftsmen often mix their own finishes from scratch. They might blend different oils or add a touch of beeswax to create a finish perfectly suited for each specific piece. It's like a secret recipe passed down through generations, imparting that warm, inviting glow to each item. They don't simply purchase whatever is on sale at the hardware store. They ensure the finish is as unique as the wood itself. For a novice, this might seem somewhat daunting, but don't fret. The key is patience. Start small, apply a thin coat, and allow it to dry completely before adding another. Utilize natural products and maintain simplicity. You'll achieve that same warm, rich appearance that makes Amish furniture so appealing. Sure, it might take slightly longer than hastily using a spray can, but the outcome, well, it speaks for itself. Once the furniture is fully assembled, stained, and the finish coats are applied, the subsequent step is the final polishing. This is where the piece acquires its wow factor, and the wood's full beauty emerges. Consider it the finishing touch, like the cherry atop an already impressive cake. The polishing process focuses on making the wood shine, highlighting the natural grain, and ensuring the furniture possesses a sleek, smooth surface that invites touch and admiration. To commence, a soft cloth or brush is used to gently rub the surface. The objective is to apply a light layer of polish that enhances the wood's natural sheen without overwhelming the subtle texture and color established in previous steps. This is not the occasion for heavy-handedness. Excessive polish can make the piece appear artificial, and the Amish prioritize showcasing the wood's authenticity. Often, a combination of wax or natural oils is employed for this step, depending on the piece's intended aesthetic. Oils help accentuate the wood's deep hues, while wax adds a soft luster that can make the furniture feel welcoming and luxurious. The craftsman's touch is crucial in ensuring the furniture is polished evenly, without streaks or heavy spots. Now this is where it becomes intriguing. Not only does the furniture become more visually appealing, but it also acquires a subtle protective layer. Polishing seals the surface, providing extra durability and resistance against dust, dirt, and spills. But the true magic occurs when you glide your hand across the finished piece's smooth surface. The polished wood feels like silk, almost as if the furniture is inviting you to sit and relax. The Amish dedicate time to this step, ensuring the final result reflects the care and dedication invested in every other part of the furniture-making process. There's no rushing through the final polishing. It's about creating something that not only looks stunning, but also feels wonderful to touch. And here's an interesting fact. Amish furniture, after polishing, often possesses a rich, warm glow that makes the piece appear decades old, even if brand new. It's the enchantment of natural materials and traditional craftsmanship. So, when admiring that hand-polished finish, remember, it's not solely about appearance. It's about crafting a piece that will endure the test of time. Ultimately, this step elevates the furniture from great to exceptional, completing the process and ensuring it is not only beautiful, but also durable, functional, and ready to be treasured for years to come. Now that we have our perfect furniture, let's discuss the essential ingredient that makes Amish furniture so incredibly well crafted: experience and skill. Imagine starting a hobby as a child and pursuing it for years, even decades. That's the Amish approach to furniture making. They don't simply decide one morning, hey, let's build a cabinet. No, it's a craft transmitted from one generation to the next. In many Amish communities, children begin learning woodworking basics as soon as they are old enough to handle a tool safely, though I suspect a few scars are acquired along the way, just to keep things authentic. The process of learning this craft resembles learning to ride a bicycle. Initially, you're unsteady, perhaps even wobbly, but with sufficient practice and dedication, you're soon cycling effortlessly. Over time, they refine their skills, building confidence, knowing each project serves as a stepping stone toward becoming a true master. By adulthood, they don't need to hesitate when cutting, sanding, or assembling. They've performed these tasks thousands of times. The experience factor is immense. Picture this: you've worked on hundreds, possibly thousands of furniture pieces throughout your life. This means when it's time to cut a piece of wood, you already anticipate its behavior. You know which way the grain will turn, which joint type is optimal for this specific piece, and the appropriate amount of glue. Too much creates a mess, too little, and things may eventually separate. But this skill doesn't materialize overnight. Amish craftspeople train through hands-on experience. They learn by doing. While they might consult some blueprints, genuine knowledge stems from years of practice and experimentation. They know precisely how much pressure to apply with a hand plane, or how to carve a perfect dovetail joint without exertion. And they become faster as they progress, not due to rushing, but because they've developed muscle memory over the years. I've heard it said that by age 30, an Amish craftsman is practically a living woodworking encyclopedia. And consider this: owing to their high skill level, they can work surprisingly quickly. A craftsman with decades of experience can produce a solid piece of furniture in remarkable time, despite using hand tools and no power machinery. We're talking about a piece that's hand-cut, hand-assembled, and hand-finished, yet completed in a fraction of the time one might expect. So, while it might appear they are slowly and carefully assembling everything, in reality, they work with confidence and efficiency, guided by years of experience. What's the takeaway? Experience and skill form the foundation of Amish furniture making. Practice indeed makes perfect. These individuals don't just build furniture, they create it, leveraging years of hands-on knowledge. And after all that practice, well, they can construct a perfect sturdy chair without breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to locate the screwdriver for my DIY projects. Perhaps they'd accept me as an apprentice, if I can manage the hand tools first. Lastly, can we acknowledge how organized the Amish are regarding their furniture making? Imagine entering an Amish workshop to find it impeccably arranged, tools hung on walls, materials neatly stacked, everything in its designated spot. It's almost like stepping into a woodworking fantasy where everything is perfectly configured. This streamlined workflow constitutes one of the secret advantages behind their rapid yet precise furniture construction. The Amish don't squander time searching for a tool or a piece of wood when needed. Instead, they maintain such organization that each step flows smoothly into the next, akin to a well-choreographed performance. No awkward interruptions, just rhythm and speed. How do they achieve this? It begins with layout. Their workshops are meticulously planned, ensuring every tool and material is readily accessible. It's unlike the chaotic disarray I've witnessed in my own garage, where I'm constantly stumbling over sawdust and wondering if that hammer will ever resurface. For the Amish, there's no guessing where to locate a saw or a block of maple. Each item occupies a dedicated space. This isn't merely about tidiness, it's about eliminating time lost searching. It seems they aim to keep their hands occupied with work, not rummaging. Another aspect of their strategy involves minimizing unnecessary movement. You won't observe an Amish craftsman traversing the shop to retrieve something that should have been within arm's reach. Instead, they arrange their workspace to keep everything easily accessible. This might sound like basic common sense, but you'd be surprised how much time we all waste simply reaching for a tool across the room, or bending to retrieve a nail from the bottom of a cluttered container. The Amish recognize that even minor tasks accumulate, so they avoid expending energy on steps that could be more efficient. If you were to observe them working, you'd notice each task flows naturally into the subsequent one. When preparing wood, for example, they cut it to size, then transfer it for shaping or joining, then directly to assembly, all without needing to rearrange items. It's a kind of rhythm where each part of the process is seamless. That's not mere luck, though. It's integral to their design. They pre-plan their steps, ensuring they aren't backtracking or encountering unnecessary delays. A prime example is how they organize materials. Instead of dealing with wood scattered haphazardly, like a game of Tetris in my garage, everything is stacked neatly by type and size. Consequently, when it's time to select a piece for the next step, it's quick and straightforward. This also minimizes waste, as they can clearly see what's available and what should be used next. Ultimately, the Amish don't just work harder, they work smarter. They've discovered that the simpler their setup, the more efficiently they can operate. And while they may not dash around frantically like I tend to do in my own shop, they manage to complete projects much faster while upholding the high quality they're celebrated for. So, the next time you're rushing to finish a project, perhaps adopt a strategy from the Amish playbook and concentrate on streamlining your own process. It could save you more time than you realize. Each piece of Amish furniture narrates a story. From selecting the finest local hardwoods to utilizing minimal tools, every step in the process prioritizes achieving quality. So, the next time you encounter a well-crafted Amish chair or table, recognize that it's more than just furniture. It's a fragment of history. It represents furniture that not only promises longevity through the years, but also embodies the dedication of the individuals who crafted it. And who knows? Perhaps after observing all this, you'll feel inclined to try the Amish methods yourself, or you'll find yourself appreciating the elegance of Amish furniture just a little more profoundly, whether you're seated upon it or simply standing in admiration.